Hello tankers, it's me and welcome back to another quick tank review, and today we're going to be looking at the Leopard Prototype, one of two tier 9 German medium tanks. One's the E50, which is a bloody brilliant tank, and this one is the Leopard Prototype. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this tank, but yeah, I think it's quite inferior to a lot of the other tier 9 mediums. But if you want to get to Leopard 1, the tier 10, you're going to have to go through it somehow, either with free XP or by actually playing it. So I said I think it's inferior. It has a lot of things that are really not very good about this tank, and just a couple that are really good. And I don't normally say this, but it has quite a high skill cap. Doing well in this tank is really hard, and doing bad in it is really easy. Leopard prototypes are normally a very juicy snack on the battlefield, and I feast on them all of the time. But in the right situation, this tank is a beast. It has one of the best 105s in the game in terms of gun handling and accuracy and stuff like that, and penetration. So yeah, it's going to be some situations where you can beast people from long range, and this thing really does fit the sneaky sniper role very well. So onto the armour then. It basically doesn't have anything you should consider trying to use. If you get hit, it's probably going to penetrate 99% of the time, even high explosive rounds. The only caveat to that is the gun mantlet. It will pull off a few lucky bounces, but you're going to be very lucky. So we're not even going to look at the armour profile, because you should play this thing like it has none. Right, so the next thing that I don't particularly like about this tank, the gun depression. Doesn't have much over the front. You can see there is a gap there for the gun, but because of the turret shaping, it doesn't go down that much. It doesn't have enough gun depression to be a ridgeline warrior, so it doesn't do that very well either. So like with the armour, if you want armour, play a T54. If you want gun depression, play something like an AMX-30, Centurion 7.1. The list is very long. Type 61 as well, rather play that. And another thing about the gun depression, look at this engine decking. See that step up? Imagine the turrets over the back of that. Your gun does not point down in the slightest. So you have zero gun depression over the back. Absolutely terrible. So that's another thing that's crap. What else is good though? Right. If you look at the figures over on the right, the one thing that is really high there with my equipment setup and crew skills, which I don't have many, we're going to talk about that in a minute, is the spotting. The view range is really good. And the concealment, although that number's not that high, it is good enough to stay sneaky against tanks that don't have a lot of view range. But what that means is, at tier 10, where there's a lot of view range saturation, your camo value doesn't count for as much in a tier 10 game as to when you're top tier, you know, and you're fighting tiers 8s, tiers 7s. Right, so mobility. These tanks are known for being mobile, but as you can see on the bottom of the screen, let's flick along. This tank will drive straight past the Leopard Prototype. It has more gun depression, blah de blah, and for me it's just a better tank. But again, like I said, if you want the Leopard one, you've got to play this thing. Yeah, unfortunately. Anyway, let's go on to the packages. Right, so terrible, okay. And for one real thing, the gun. It's the 105 again, the British Royal Ordnance. Don't know if it's a licensed version or the original one. Let's have a look at the stats. So rate of fire is not actually that good. It's one of the lowest DPMs as well. It's on a tier 9 medium. But what you do have is 268mm of penetration with your standard rounds. Most tier 10s don't have that. Well, not tier 10 CDs. And the standard 390 alpha. And you also have heat rounds with 330 pen and 390 alpha, which means fighting heavily armoured tier 10s is not a problem with this thing. Aim time is very good at 2.3 seconds. And accuracy is awesome at 0.32. And to put that in perspective, Type 61, love that tank, but the accuracy is a damn sight worse than this tank. So what do you have then? You have some concealment, and you have a really good gun. You have no armour, and not a huge amount of gun depression. So, as much as it pains me to say it, this tank is it's a sniper, and you really need to save your hit points for going in at the end of the game to securing that last bit of damage. Right, onto my crew then. Like I said, not very skilled in this tank, and the reason for that is I've been grinding this line forever. I'd finished grinding the Indian Panzer when the waffle line came out, and I stole the crew for the waffle line. And that's how long I've been grinding this tank. But you most definitely want 6th Sense, Camo, and Brothers in Arms for your first 3 skills. Don't know why I'm trying repairs, but 6th Sense, you need to know when you're spotting this thing, because there's going to be incoming. When people see a Leopard Prototype, they think easy damage, and they will go for you. Camo, that gives you 100% on your camo value, so I don't know the exact figure for this tank, but if it's 50, you will have 100 meters of camo value. With camo, very, very useful skill. Brothers in Arms, because the DPM is bad. And also, with Brothers in Arms, it brings up all your other major crew skills, including your view range, which you really need for this tank. And also, because of my equipment fit I choose on this thing, the Brothers in Arms helps with the aim time. Right, let's talk about... actually, what else would you have on from there? The rest of the sneaky skills. Snapshot. What else? Trying to think of the names of them. Let's have a look. So you definitely want some sneaky skills, you want view range skills, snapshot, maybe pain tolerance and things like that because it has no armour. Smooth ride, clutch braking, off-road driving, all of those good things that makes it more mobile. Yeah, you just need to try and make it as good as you can. Right, supplies. Do carry 10 rounds of heat, don't often use them. Plenty of standard APCR because the penetration is so good and it's so accurate at range, you rarely need the heat. Consumables, I don't run any premium consumables other than the food, which I highly recommend you get in this tank because of view range and reload mainly. For you get your 10% on your view range and your reload. Some people run 2 repair kits, but for me, if you're getting hit in the Leopard Prototype, you're doing something wrong in the first place, so I just run the standard repair kit and first aid kit. Right, equipment choice. This is something I've changed recently and I seem to be having a lot more success. I used to run coated optics, rammer and vert stabilizers, but recently I've ditched off the vert stabs because I've found if I get the tank in a good enough position in the first place, I don't have to bob and weave to get the shots away. So I've ditched off vert stabs and gone for improved ventilation. That helps with your view range and your DPM, which is some of the, what you really need in this tank, what you really need in a long range sneaky sniper, and with the gun stats of this tank anyway. Although you do miss the vert stabs, I find the slight buff in DPM and view range helps out more than being able to swing your turret a little quicker. Anyway, so that's about it, fellas. There's not a huge amount to talk about with this tank. It's not actually that good, but like I said, if you want the Leopard 1, you're going to have to play it, and if you get an obliging team, you can pull off some serious damage in this tank and have games like I'm about to show you.
We've got enemies in the area. Take them down or capture their base.
Right, tankers, time to do a serious amount of damage in the Leopard Prototype. One thing I didn't talk about in the garage was Camo Paint. This is one of the very few tanks I would actually recommend spending the silver to fit paint to it while you're grinding, or if you want to keep the tank, it might actually be worth the gold on this one to actually keep the camo, because this tank really relies on its camo value and its view range and just the quality of the gun to be able to kill people at range, because it's not a dogfighter. You can play peekaboo with it, but you have to be very, very confident about your own skills. Right, so outspotted the tiger there until I fired. Remember, your camo value drops when you fire. He didn't spot me that time through that bush, but he knows where I am, so he could always blind fire me, and with the amount of armour this thing's got, his blind fire, if it goes anywhere near the tank, it's gonna pen. Spots me again there, might not have been him, might have been somebody else, and then artillery puts a nice round in, so that Tiger 2 is almost out of the game. Note there, I was spotted still and detected behind the hill. That wouldn't have been the Tiger 2. As soon as I was on out of line of sight, you would have lost the detected. So I thought the artillery was aiming at me, so I pulled back behind the hill. But no round came in, but never mind. Saves me taking any damage, and then I go back to doing exactly the same thing. Another thing about this tank is using key positions on the map. You need to be able to keep the enemies a long way away. Only trouble with this spot though is you need some gun depression, and you have to expose a fair bit of this tank to be able to get the gun over to aim down there. Right, now a perfect example of why this gun is awesome. At these sort of ranges, 500 meters, you can still accurately hit tanks and hit weak spots, and with 268mm of penetration, they don't have a chance, especially lower tier tanks like this. Can free shot that guy all day long. Right, quick thing about the replay, some of you might actually find this boring, and even though it's a huge amount of damage, it would never make it in to a Goes Mad episode. It's not really my playstyle. The Leo is a very, very good long-range sniper, and like I said, you can do the peek-a-boom as well, but that involves the risk of losing hit points, and you don't want to do that until the end of the game. And the end of this game is going to be a perfect example of why you don't do it at the start. Anyway, so note the reload, it's long. And again, dogfighting, this reload will see you getting out DPMs by most tanks that you come up against. But at this range, things like a Conway, absolutely no chance. Well, so the light tank's up on the hill, so we're safe to poke. We completely gave up the other flank. Could have drove over there, but again that would mean fighting people fair, and you don't fight fair in this tank. Here we go, nice tracking shot on the prototype. You should always prioritise tracks, as long as you can guarantee your penetration, because if someone hits them, you get assist points. For some reason that one didn't do anything. Don't know if it was hit a bit of cover or something. But now we have the arse end of a T30. He gets hit, doesn't look like I tracked him, but still it's assist points. Now he's tracked, still my spots, and that T30 is almost out of the game. Right, prototype turret, he goes down anyway, so back to the T30, killed a T30, didn't even get spotted. Lovely jubbly. And now just key positioning on the map. I'm right in the middle of the map. I can help out people all the way around the map now. And with the camo value of this tank, and the fact that I've got the camo skill and camo paint, means I can stay pretty stealthy as well. It's kind of like being a mobile tank destroyer. Right, T28 side of, not a problem. Stealth shot there. So look at that, up to 13 penetrations with a 105 already. If the game ended now, I'd be happy with that, especially in the Leopard Prototype. So push forward, and we spot a tier 5 artillery, proper failed platoon in. But it's always good to get rid of an artillery, especially when you're in a Leopard Prototype, because a griller can penetrate you. Right, T54 E1. Look at that, 410 meters, just over now. And he can't spot me. There's two in, and he's backing off. Right, so now watch these shots. In a lot of tanks, I wouldn't even, well, possibly would attempt a hatch shot, but that hit that wreck. But with 268mm of penetration, even heavily armoured tanks like this become a tank you just aim at. And hope RNG is good to you. So we pen that one. So now I'm looking for a hatch shot, and then I go for the side armour. Boom, he's dead. And again, he didn't even see me doing it. Perfect long range sniping. Right, look at this, the enemy's team have pushed the other flank. Remember, we gave it up. But we had plenty of spotters at our spawn, if you have a look. That TD at the back probably hasn't even seen a tank this game, let alone done any damage. We go, second one into the E75. He's pushing, he knows he has to now. He's getting shot in the side. And he goes out my gun line. Right. So I'm not moving. Remember, when you move, your camo value changes. It gets worse. And getting worse means more chance of getting spotted. So while I'm in a good position in the map, there's a Conway off to the right, which more than likely is going to be running bino, so when they're not deployed, I'm going to have more chance of spotting him before he spots me. There's still two tier 9 autoloaders left. One's over there, so he's not a massive problem. But the other one is near their spawn, and he can almost clip me. So, yeah, with good rolls, he can clip me. And I don't want to get caught out by him. There's the Conway. Right, there goes the limit of the gun depression. Waiting for the E75 to make the mistake of pushing again. Right, Conway's gone down. So there's those two up there, and T54E1. Oh wow, 87. This is nice to shoot at. Side off. Lovely bit of accuracy. And again, like I said, my equipment fit. I ditched off vert stabs, which is kind of weird. And would never have thought of doing that in the past. And I went for the ventilation. I find just the help with everything works better for me than the you know, the 20% off your dispersion during turret movement. Gun handling on this tank is not bad anyway. Right, so here we go. This is why you don't fight fair at the start of a game in the Leopard Prototype. Watch this. I want the damage. I'm on full health. Save my hit points so I can cover this just about.
We've reached the enemy base.
I know I've had a good game and I want to make it just a little bit better, so I'm willing to sacrifice some hit points. Comes over. One into the low plate. I've eaten 2. I eat 3.
Main gun is damaged. We can't fire accurately.
And luckily I bounced the 4th. He couldn't have killed me there. But you see, just coming across one wrong tank and most of my hit points were gone. But anyway, 5 kills and a lovely amount of penetrations. It's not a huge amount of credits for such a good game, but nearly 9,000 XP for a double and 9,000 damage in a Leo PTA gives me probably the best game I'm ever going to have in this tank. And I'm not even going to delete this replay afterwards. I'm going to save that one. Mastery Ace tanker. Only got 1 gun mark. Rarely play this tank. So nearly 2k base. 5 kills. 9,000 damage. Love it. Bit of a farming simulator game. But that's the way to play Leopard Prototype. Be sneaky. Be stealthy at the start of the game. If you can't do that and you're on a small map, play Peep-a-Kaboom. But that's going to see you trading hit points, which is not a good thing in this tank. And especially as it has weak ammo racks. And again, my consumable choices may not be suitable for everybody. You may wish to run 2 repair kits if you like to play more aggressive in this tank. But I have found aggression in this tank gets you not much damage done and dying quickly. So it is best to try and be a sniper. Anyway guys, hope this review helps. Hope you enjoyed the gameplay and I'll catch you on the next one. See you later.